Welcome into Rounding the Bases.
Round the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg. It's around the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg.
Welcome into Rounding the Bases, presented by Community America Credit Union, invested in you. I'm Joel Goldberg. Shout out to my good friends at Chief of Staff Kansas City. If you are looking for a job, if you are looking to hire someone, if you have not heard of them yet, I highly recommend that you check them out, in part because they believe in people, they believe in culture. It's a fun, energetic office, but a hardworking office. They care about people, and that's the reason why I partner with them. ChiefofStaffKC.com, making connections that matter. My connection today goes back a number of years, but it's also my newest teammate on the broadcast side, and I could not be more excited. And what a way to end Women's History Month here on Rounding the Bases, as we've had some incredible women in different professions. But now we get into my profession and some history being made, as we have hired the first woman on our television broadcast to work alongside of our crew and me on our Royals pre and post game shows and in game as a sideline reporter. So she'll be hosting and reporting. We actually have two new rookies, one of whom has been on this podcast before. That would be Eric Hosmer, the Royals great, one of the great players in history, who has now joined our television broadcast, and he's been on this podcast before. But Bridget Howard is new to our team, and I thought it'd be great to be able to catch up with her, my newest teammate. She has been working hard, getting herself ready for the season. And the cool part about this is that this gives her an opportunity, after paying her dues, to come back home. And so I'm so excited to welcome to Rounding the Bases, Bridget Howard. I understand that interviewing you right now, a couple days before your opening day, the Royals home opener, keeps me from asking you how did it go, but I know it's going to go great. So we'll zoom out bigger picture. I know the answer, but it's really exciting too. How exciting? Where does this rank in terms of like the dream of making it to this level? Because you get to come home, you're broadcasting baseball. Sum up what this means to you.
It is my North Star job. I have said it all along, and you've known it for a number of years now. I think for me, being able to come home, work in baseball, work for my hometown team, like I don't think you could write up a more perfect job for me and what I've wanted throughout my entire career. So I'm extremely blessed to be here. I feel very grateful to be welcomed into this amazing Royals TV broadcast crew. Everyone's been amazing, including yourself. And so, yeah, I'm over the moon, and it's full circle. It's surreal. It's all the words.
Yeah, let's talk full circle, at least in terms of you and what was Royals Live. It's now just called Royals Pregame. I say whatever it is, like it's just not like Royals Live was such a creative name too, but I found myself reflexively saying that as we started our first broadcasts in Atlanta, and I'm like, wait, what are we anyway? It's Royals Pregame and Royals Postgame, and you are a part of both of them in a reporting role and hosting at times as well. And if you're doing one, I'm doing the other at home, and vice versa. But the full circle moment, at least in terms of you and I and Jeff Montgomery, is a really, really cool one. Was it, and then I'll let you tell the story, because you'll remember it more vividly than we will. I'll just say this. The fact that I don't remember it poorly means you made a good impression, and I remember you made a great impression. But we have so many people come through, and so you remember, who was paying attention, who had good questions. But you'll have much better memories. Was it 7 seasons ago? 8 seasons ago?
It was in 2019. So
19,
the summer. Yeah, summer of 2019, I was going into my senior year of college. I had reached out to Monty and was like, hey, can I come shadow you and Joel, for this weekend that I was in town? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. And so I came out there and got to shadow you guys. Hence the picture in the article that Annie wrote of me with the blonde hair. Everyone was very confused about that. We have blonde Bridget, now we have brunette Bridget. No, but that picture, we're gonna have to remake that this year for sure. But
that'll be easy.
Yeah, it was back in 2019. I was going into my senior year at K-State, and it was a couple weekends before I went out to LA for my internship with Fox Sports. So, yeah, it was a fun summer full of baseball.
Yeah, so cool. And that picture was funny because, 7 years ago, first of all. So, and then I didn't think about it when they posted it, but they didn't put a caption on it. And if they just said, Bridget Howard, job shadowing in 2019, or, Bridget Howard visiting the set, whatever it was. And they didn't, it's a minor detail, but one in this case that ended up playing in a big way. I got it too, but I mean, like, because everybody's like, oh yeah, is she blonde? But I saw other pictures of her. No, she's brunette now. And by the way, I'm not as heavy as I was back. I didn't put all that weight back on in the off season, by the way. Anyway, we're so excited to have you. And I think that I want to get more into your journey, but for me, when I found out that they had hired you, it's not that I was stressed about it, but there's just like this, all right, I know they're hiring someone else, and I hope it's someone that we're going to like and that is going to work hard and do all the right things. As you would anytime you're getting a new teammate, especially, and this, when you have a group that's been together so long and then there's change, and it's good change. No one's losing their job. We still have our group together. We get to expand the family. Then for me, when I found out it was you, I'm like, oh, great, because I remember the first impression. But no, I mean, for me, there was just like this relief that I knew the person we were hiring. I knew your baseball background, but I think more importantly than that is that I had watched from a distance the work that you had done. I had watched. It was funny. I'm like, I thought I knew you better than I did, just in the sense that when I went to congratulate you, I'm like, I don't even have your number. I assumed that I did, but that's social media, right? Like, you stay connected via social media, watching someone's progress. And so I want to get back to this dream job in a bit, but I really want to talk about all the work that you've put in. I think that's what impressed me, is that, this isn't just the hometown kid that graduated from college that came out. You had to work your butt off to get back here, and still are working your butt off in other spots as well. Tell me about the journey of the last 7 years, how you broke in. Everybody assumes you just land here, and it doesn't work that way. How did you break in? And tell me about some of the stops along the way.
It's funny because my initial reaction is to say, I wish I could just land here. But then it's like, no, I don't think so, because I think the journey is what makes it that much more rewarding. So I'll go back to, I guess, my senior year of high school, because that's really kind of where this journey began. But went to Blue Valley High School. And when I was a senior there, I was in the CAPS program at Blue Valley, the Center for Advanced Professional Studies. And my teacher, Bruce McRoberts, who, funny enough, is a camera operator still for the Royals broadcasts, who I'll get to work with this year. He, worked his network and was able to get me on the sidelines of a Blue Valley Northwest Bishop Miege boys basketball game my senior year of high school on Time Warner Sports Channel. So that was when I got my first kind of dose of being on a live broadcast, and I got the bug and never let it go. But then going into college, I was on the inaugural women's soccer team at Kansas State. So K-Stater, love that. That's another full circle moment here, but went to K-State, played on the soccer team, and then I got into sports broadcasting. And so from there, I got to do everything under the sun, whether it was sideline reporting, hosting for the pregame show, filling in for Brian Smoller, sideline for every sport, whether it was women's basketball, volleyball, baseball, soccer, all of the things. Got so much great experience at Kansas State. I can't thank K-State HDTV enough. And so then I graduated in 3.5 years. So December of 2019, which that was another thing that I'm very glad I did, because everyone was like, why are you leaving college early? And I'm like, I'm just ready. And if I would have stayed, it would have been during COVID. So we got out just in the nick of time. And then I got a job with the Mountain West Conference, and I actually graduated without a job. I think that's important to note, because for a lot of people, you have your job lined up, you know exactly what you're doing. And I just knew exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go the local news route. I thought I would get burnt out on it. And so I was like, I had a very clear vision of what I wanted to do in my brain. And I waited for it and eventually found it a month later after I graduated. So ended up moving out to Colorado Springs, working for the Mountain West Conference for the better part of the last 5 years. And again, did everything under the sun for them. I think that is one of the biggest things I've taken away from my journey is just do everything. Get as many reps as you can. I was doing I don't even know if you can call it sideline, but I was doing reporting for cross country and track and field, volleyball, swim and dive, baseball, hosting media day shows. So I got incredible experience at the Mountain West Conference. And then in the fall of 2024, I decided to make the jump to full-time freelancing. I moved to Florida, and that's when I dipped my toe into doing play-by-play. So I got in with the Gainbridge Super League. It was their inaugural season. And then I also got started doing play-by-play for the NWSL as well. So when I got to call a current game last spring, it was very surreal for me again, even though I was calling it from Fort Lauderdale remotely. So I did that. And then I also work for TNT currently as well. So I am a sideline reporter for their college football, college basketball, and unrivaled women's basketball coverage. So we've been doing a lot. And I think all of those experiences have made me very prepared for this role with the Royals. You think you're ready for things throughout your career. And I look back and I'm like, gosh, if I had gotten this then, I don't know what I would have been like. And I think all the experience has led me to here into this moment and feeling prepared for this moment.
You are prepared. And it's so interesting because I think our journeys in some ways mirror each other, but they're totally different in part just because we're talking about two different generations. And so what was available to you, and by the way, I don't think either journey was easy. And I think as you alluded to, it's not supposed to be. You know this now, and the further along you get, you're going to have more people wanting to pick your brain about how you did it. And I know that's already happening without knowing because, of course, you're where now a 21-year-old wants to be. And that was true last year, and it's even more so true now. Now, if you're doing this another 10 years, 20 years, and I hope you are if that's what you want to do, that every year more people will want to know. And every year that goes by, the world changes a little bit. And so, when I got into it 32 years ago, I joked with you, I wasn't even joking, just the facts, that you were not alive when I started in television. And, when I got in, there weren't all the routes. Like you wouldn't be like, no, maybe I could see if I could work my way in with the Mountain West, or maybe there really weren't even sideline reporters at that point. So it wasn't, there were sideline reporters for like some national games. Pre and post game shows were more of a national thing. And it's like, yeah, I'd love to be Bob Costas one day, but I know that's not happening, tomorrow, if ever. As a matter of fact, I met him when I was in college and told him some line like, I hope to be half as good as you one day, which I don't even know what that means, but and he ended up writing a testimonial for my last book. So it's like, I guess I have my full circle too, but there wasn't as much available. I mean, it was really the news route. It was either the news route, or maybe you could try to go find like some really local play-by-play and work your way in that way. But it all ended up here. And so I think about that with you now, because the next generation that's going to be picking your brain, there'll be something different. Like, what does TV even look like in 10 years? So what do you tell the 21-year-old that's asking you right now how to get into this or what they should do?
Yeah, I think so. I'll preface this with I'm a big quote person. I have quotes everywhere. I have my favorites, but I think I would sum my journey up into two. And this is what I do tell young broadcasters is the first one I got from Lisa Salters. Luck favors the prepared. I think that is the biggest one. I was a runner for Monday Night Football on ESPN when I was in college for the Chiefs, when they were here with the Chiefs. And I got to pick up Lisa Salters from the airport, and I asked her what advice she would give. And that was what she said. And I remember writing it down in my notes. And that is like what has always stayed there. And I think what's grounded me throughout my career, because again, I feel like I said it earlier, I feel very prepared for this job. I feel ready for it, ready for this moment. And that all just comes about because of everything happening in the universe at the right place at the right time, right? But you also have to do your job and be prepared. And I think that's my first piece of advice is just always be prepared. You never know what's going to come your way, but just make sure you're ready for it. And then the other one is what's meant for you won't miss you. And I think I have become really grounded in that specifically because what I didn't mention throughout my journey is that I did graduate in December of 2019, right before COVID hit. I got the job in January with the Mountain West. I had that job for about 5 months before they ended up eliminating my position just due to cut downs with everything in live sports not happening. And so when that happened in August, actually, let me backtrack a little bit. I worked in the office for 1 month, and then I ended up working remotely from my boss's house for 5 months in Colorado Springs. We would record content out of his basement with a green screen. Like, we made it happen. And then my job got eliminated. So I ended up moving back to Kansas City during that time. It was the fall of 2020. I was a full-time nanny for twin 7-year-old girls, worked at Lululemon, and I started my podcast. So I say all of that because clearly that is not what I had drawn up in my brain for my path, right? But it really gave me some time at home, time to do some different things that I probably wouldn't have allowed myself to do. And also my podcast has led to these amazing connections that I've kept years down the line. And so it all happened for a reason. And so going back to, if it's meant for you, it won't miss you. My job ended up getting offered back to me in June of that next year. And so that solidified in my brain for me, okay, if I just keep putting in the work, if I keep doing all the right things, whatever is meant for me will not pass me by. And I think that has helped me a lot when I've gone up for jobs or applied for certain things or hoped for a certain gig and maybe didn't get it. It gives me a sense of calm now as opposed to a sense of stress or anxiety maybe that I would have had before, because I do know that whatever is meant for me won't miss me.
I love that. And the quote that you said, I've always had a similar version that was one of my favorite quotes. I actually read it and read it somewhere like in a book and thought it had been attributed to General MacArthur. But every time I'd looked it up over the years, all signs pointed elsewhere, or maybe there were different versions of it. This one was chances favor the prepared mind, which came from French microbiologist Louis Pasteur. I promise you I was never studying his work back from the 1800s. However, when I read that quote and then I went to look it up in online, like just to make sure I got it right, I could never find it. And I'm like, I don't know if the author of this book that I was reading got it wrong or whatever, but it took me to almost not the exact quote, but very similar. And so I love that one. Like, you, especially in live TV, if you take care of your work and you've done your preparation, you can handle whatever comes your way, which I think might just be true of life too. And it's true of the journey in TV. I mean, there is no one that is established in this profession that started where they're at, right? I mean, it's just, and that's, I think, one of the reasons. I'm curious your take on this too. And then I'll shift gears on you a little bit, but I can tell pretty quickly for the younger people that want to ask me about the business I can tell for sure that they're not going to get in. And it's not a lack of talent. It's usually a lack of, I don't even know if I'd say it's a lack of drive. I could just already hear the built-in excuses of not wanting to make all the sacrifice. And I get it. Like, you know, you and I were the crazy ones that just kept going when it felt like there was no chance and there was no money and there was no this and there was no that. The reward has been worth it and beyond. I don't in any way judge anyone that opted out of this. I'd say that they're probably a little bit more sane than we are. But at the end of the pain and the sacrifice came jobs like this. I don't know if you could sense that or not as well, because I sense that everybody wants, not everybody, but they want it to be a little bit easier, a little bit less messy, and it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, you have to put in the time, the effort, the long hours, working on holidays. I mean, this past year was the first Thanksgiving that I've had
Mm-hmm.
in 5 years, because I was always working a volleyball championship or doing football or something along those lines. And I just knew what I had in mind, what I wanted to get to. And it may not have been ideal at the time, but again, all these little opportunities and moments lead you to like what you're supposed to do. And I think for me, that just has been my whole life though, like growing up and with my dad and him not being able to be at certain things or whatever. It's just like you knew that it was the job and you knew that like the intention was there, but you just weren't able to be there. And I think I grew up like that, and that's how I kind of am now too. If that makes sense. I just know like the bigger picture. I can see the bigger picture, and it may not be ideal in the moment, but you got to make it work, got to make it happen.
Absolutely. Okay, so I didn't mean to bury the lead, because it's not the lead actually, but I have not yet mentioned until you referenced your dad, a little bit by design, because I think that you've got to earn your own way. Yet it is part of the story, and a great part of your story, that you are the daughter of former big leaguer and former Kansas City Royal David Howard. I think it's very much an important piece of the story, because you understand big league life, whether it be from the perspective of a young girl growing up, or just there's something built in. Like, my son's getting into TV now on the production side, and you'll see him a lot this summer, and he just knows how to act out there. He know, and that was part of it too. Like when you came and job shadowed us, one of my sort of worries that I keep my eye on anytime someone job shadows is, are they gawking at everybody coming by? Are they wanting to, I won't let them do autographs. That's against the rules, but in our world, but you could tell someone that's comfortable with it and someone that's in awe of it. And I get it. Like, you're on the field at Kauffman Stadium, but you had a presence about you that, hey, I've been here before. I'm not saying you took it for granted, but you were comfortable. So tell me about growing up in a baseball family and what some of your memories. I don't know, how old were you when your dad was playing?
I wasn't born yet.
You're not born yet? Yeah, that's what I
No.
thought. So you heard all the stories.
It was like the tail end. So when I get to go to St. Louis this year, that'll be pretty surreal, because there are pictures of me in a baby carrier in the old Busch Stadium dugout. So that will be fun. But for me, like baseball was just like ingrained in me ever since I was a little baby. I can pull up a number of photos of me like at baseball stadiums along the way, but I didn't get to watch my dad play, but he did continue to work in Major League Baseball for the entirety of my childhood. So he worked for the Boston Red Sox for a number of years. We got to go to 3 World Series. They had 3 World Series rings. It was really fun. Getting to travel around and go to spring training every year for the first 16 years of my life, every year down in Florida. And so to your point of not gawking or not being in awe or all the things, it's a product of that. I told that to Q when we were on the backfields, I think one day this spring training, and I was like, yeah, this just feels like what it felt like growing up, being out here and knowing how to navigate everything. It just is kind of second nature to me. So I certainly don't take it for granted. I just kind of have to pinch myself sometimes that, okay, this is now my job, and it's not just me tagging along with dad.
Yeah. I think the sweet spot that you get to whenever you do, and I think it'll be quick for you, is when you can keep pinching yourself, but feel so comfortable. Like this is your job, this is your place of employment, this is normal. That when it could become completely normal while still never losing that. Like I always, every day, having been to the ballpark thousands and thousands of times now, every day I still want to have that moment of like, holy crap, I'm here. And those become harder when it just becomes muscle memory to be there. And so it's just a matter of never losing that perspective. And that, you'll have that for years. Because it will still be a lot of pinch. You don't ever want to lose the pinch me moment. Before I get to my baseball themed questions, I told you I really didn't have a whole lot of like baseball specific questions for you because it's really not a baseball podcast. But you spent a lot of time at spring training, and I want to compliment you on this because I think it was by design, and I know that you were spending a lot of time out in Arizona in the spring, so you had some access, but you weren't on the clock, so to speak, most of any of those days. You just were showing up. And so I bring that up for anyone younger, or if you're listening and you're one of those people that I hear from a lot that says, my kid wants to one day go into what you're doing. Well, tell your kid this, that this business is as much about relationships and building trust, the topic that I talk about in my keynotes, my speaking, as anything. And when you're new and you could go out there and spend days and weeks building relationships, it means that when you get to opening day, that you're not starting right from the beginning. You've already put in the work. I don't know that everybody gets that. It's a compliment to you because I think that's one of the most important keys to this business and certainly that role. What did you learn in all the time that you were out there in Surprise? A little bit about the Royals, but also just about kind of getting in the flow of things.
Yeah, I think for starters, you heard the words energy and buzz around this Royals team this year. That was certainly true. That was certainly there. I think there's a hunger with this group coming into 2026. And I saw that from the first day I got there on February 13th. So that is true. I learned that this is a really, really fun group. A lot of new dads on this Royals team this year. So that makes for a fun dynamic. It's a very family oriented team. I quickly found out, which I can very much appreciate. But just going back to building relationships, I think that was like the biggest thing for me going out there, being, in Surprise for a full month, showing up every single day, going into the clubhouse. It really was just all about getting familiar with the players, and showing up as a consistent presence. And I think that led to creating some really great relationships that, I'll build on throughout the season. But I think it's really important for young broadcasters to realize the bigger picture. Like, yes, you have a job to do, but at the same time, these are real people. These are real people with real stories, real families, real hardships that they go through. And I think it's worth noting that if you just expect to show up and ask them the hard-hitting questions, that doesn't necessarily work all the time. You need to build that trust, and build those relationships to get to the good stuff. And it's the same way. Like, you wouldn't just talk to someone and spill everything about your life. Like, you want to have gain some ground with them. And so I think that was the intent of me being out there the entire time. And I got to meet the amazing men in that locker room who are ready to go for the Royals and represent Kansas City. So I'm very grateful. And yeah, building trust in the relationships, it's a huge part of what we do. And it's awesome.
Last thing on that, this is just a state of journalism question, which I don't think the world of journalism is in a very good place. And I don't know that you could put the genie back in the bottle. I mean, it's just everybody is in media nowadays. Look at the word social media. It's hard to know what's real and what's not. And there are fewer and fewer true journalists, in the sense that it feels to me like, to get noticed nowadays, the quickest way to potentially speed this up is to throw darts at the wall and see what goes viral, which means it's the opposite of what you're describing with the trust. That if I could just find that big moment, even if it means burning somebody, that I'm going to make it big. And I'm just curious, like, I feel fortunate that I came up at a time where you could earn your credentials based on good reporting and relationships. It's who I was, it's who I am. And I just wonder now how much more difficult that is for somebody younger coming up, where the world so often is dictated by clickbait, social media, who's making the loudest noise, whatever the latest trend is, and how you've navigated that.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, It's really just like the social media aspect, because that's become such a big part of what we do, even though it's not what we do, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
making sure that you have such a presence on social media, whether it be Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, like that can be overwhelming in a sense, because you're already focused on your actual job, which is the broadcast and contributing in a meaningful way and building these relationships. But at the same time, people want to know that you're established and that you have some street cred to you and that you're in the know on all of these things. And so I think like trying to integrate the social media aspect of the world right now is more the bigger challenge for me, because I don't like being on my phone. I don't like sitting there editing or scrolling on TikTok or Instagram or what have you. I think that's been more the challenging part, is the balancing act of being present on social media and engaging, and also just focusing on the job at hand. I mean, I can't tell you how many other sideline reporters I've talked to where I'll be like, how did you record that day in the live TikTok? Because I would forget half the day. And they're like, yeah, it's not easy, and there's some people that are just so good at social media and I admire them for it. But I think the social media part of things has been a little bit more challenging, for young broadcasters, for me included, just trying to integrate that into what we do as well.
All right, I want to get to my baseball themed questions, and then I always wrap it up with 4 quick rounding the bases. And I realized that I gave a hard out, or you gave me a hard out, because we're trying to squeeze stuff in the midst of everything. And then I always get lost in the conversation and forget the time. And I'm like, oh, I just did it. We got enough time to talk this
All
year.
good.
All right. Biggest home run you've hit in your career?
Getting this job with the Royals. I told you it's my North Star job. I am still pinching myself, and I am so blessed for this opportunity. So that's definitely my biggest home run.
Don't stop pinching yourself. It's you got to enjoy every one of these moments. Swing and a miss, and what did you learn from it along the way?
Yeah, I think this is like a intricacy of broadcasting I'll focus on, I guess, is like over speaking. I have I've dug myself into holes, I would say, trying to ask a question in a post-game interview or a halftime interview. And I'm maybe trying to, like, not unintentionally, but trying to prove that I know the topic that I'm talking about. And then I end up kind of adding too many words in there that may not actually be right. And it's, I have done that a couple of times, and I've learned really big things from it, and it's stop talking. So I think that I would say not my biggest swing and miss, but that's a swing and miss that I think I've definitely learned from on broadcast.
Yeah. Well said. Small ball. What are the little things that add up to big results for you?
Well, we just hit on 2 of them: building trust and relationships. Those are key in this business. Just kindness. Also, to anyone, like to the fan in the stands that is having the day of their life, coming to whatever game it may be, like make their day, be kind. Also, the camera operators, the cable pullers, everyone behind the scenes, like they have just as an important job as you do. Every job is important on a broadcast. And I think just being kind goes a long way. And so that, and then I guess I'll say confidence, like that too. Those are kind of my big ones.
When you're kind to all the people on the technical crew that you're working with, I'm so glad that you understand that. And you were pulling cables or being a runner and doing all those things too. When you're kind to them, it pays off in the greatest of ways, because I'll hear it around the country. Oh, I'm so sorry that messed up. Hey, it happens. Totally understand. Appreciate the effort. Boy, if this was fill in the blank crew, they're usually not say a name, but they'll say a city, and it's always a bigger market city. This would not go well. And I'm like, well, but there's no reason for that. Anyway. All right. 4 final questions as we round the bases. Give me the scouting report on these from back in the day. Bridget Howard, the soccer player, the college soccer player.
Oh, doesn't like to head the ball. Fast, and takes good corners. I love taking corner kicks. Yeah, I was pretty good at corners.
You forward or midfielder?
Both.
Okay.
I played everything at K-State. I played forward. I played outside mid. I played center mid. They put me at outside back. but naturally I don't like to head the ball, so that didn't necessarily work out.
Well, my soccer career ended before I got to college, and it never really went beyond being the goalie, which meant I didn't have to run, which was great. Okay, second question as we round the bases. Biggest influence? I know you have a lot of them. I mean, you wanted to in part be Casey Hosmer before she was Casey Hosmer. Now you're working with her husband, Eric Hosmer. Who is your inspiration in broadcasting?
Oh,
you can give a few if you want.
Yeah, I feel like there have been so many great influences along the way, and I feel like I'm going to forget. But I think one person that has been very influential to me throughout my career, I guess I would say, is Jesse Kurtz, my boss from the Mountain West. Like Jesse has instilled so many great pillars into me of just how to be a good broadcaster. And I certainly would not be here without him. Another one, Brian Smoller from K-State. Like, I know these aren't, the Laura Rutledges, the Aaron Andrews of the world, but they've meant something to me and my career. Brian Smoller from K-State HDTV, like he's the one that had the faith and the trust in me to put me on the sidelines at K-State when maybe someone hadn't been there before. And so I credit him a lot for where I am as well. But actually in the field, I mean, when it comes to this role specifically, the Taylor McGregors, the Brooke Fletchers, the Lauren Jabaras, there have been so many that I'm forgetting, but so many that have influenced me and given me advice along the way that I'm extremely grateful for and continue to look up to.
All right, 2 to go. And along those lines, you listed all women, which I appreciate, but I'll take it to another step. Annie Rogers, beat writer for Royals.com, had made some comment to me, I think when she was writing that article, how cool it was one day in spring training. She looks and she's like, there's me, there's Bridget, and there's Logan Jones. And Logan is in media relations for the Royals. And so she's around certainly every home game, a lot of road trips. And the three of you, like in the past, it would have been maybe one woman, maybe not. How nice is that? There's a great fraternity or sorority, if you will, of women in sports, which I totally get. And I think it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I think there's this narrative that like it's so cutthroat and it's very competitive amongst women in this business because there aren't a lot of seats. There are a lot of seats at the table for women, especially in baseball, and you're starting to see it more consistently now. And to be surrounded by women like Annie and Logan, who I get to see every day at the ballpark and who are just amazing women in their own right and killing it in their careers, I am very blessed. And I agree with Annie. Like it was really cool to look around some days and it's like me and Annie in the clubhouse, getting the news or, talking to the players and stuff. And I think just seeing that is very rewarding and special to me to be surrounded by such great women.
All right. Last thing, the walk-off. I hope I don't think you do see any of this as pressure, but you're the first woman on our television broadcast. I believe long overdue. I'm so excited to be the tiniest of part of your journey as well. I think Monty all of us feel the same way. What kind of responsibility do you feel though? Because, I had Susan Waldman on our podcast, pioneer Yankees play-by-play, and she's for years heard from, women that said when they were girls, they listened to her, they wanted to be her. This is becoming more normal now. This is not could I do that? This is the evidence is right there. How much responsibility do you feel with this?
I feel an incredible sense of responsibility with this. I also agree. I think it's long overdue. I am so grateful that the Royals, were willing to add me to the broadcast team this year. And I think for me, it comes down to if I can be on the broadcast and a little girl is watching or she's in the stands and she says, hey, like, what's she doing? I want to do that. Or it just ignites something in her. I think that is what will be so special to me because like you said, like there has never been anyone in this role before that's been a female for these young girls to look up to. And a lot of girls are interested in sports, but they don't know the different avenues that they can take that may not be on the field. And so for me, it's just, being able to be someone that maybe a little girl can be like, hey, I'm interested in that. But it's an incredible responsibility and I'm very excited about it. And yeah, I can't wait for that like first moment when a little girl's like, I want to be a sideline reporter, and I get to have that moment. I know it is, and I'm probably gonna cry. So
well,
it's gonna be cool.
Soak it all in. Whatever it means to you, it'll mean even more to her, whoever she is. And then over and over and over again. I'm so excited to call you a teammate. To think that you were 8 or 9 years old when I came to Kansas City and started that is mind-boggling to me. But I'm so happy to have you on our team. You know that already, and so I'm proud of what you're starting, where you're going, and can't wait to see it all. And I know you'll make an impact on our team and to so many others as well. With that said, I already went 2 minutes over what I told you I would, so I've already screwed up on that one. What a great way to end Women's History Month here on Rounding the Bases. Bridget, so excited for this season and everything that's to come. Thanks for doing this as well.
Thank you so much for having me, Joel. And more importantly, thank you for welcoming me with such open arms to this Royals broadcast team. I'm incredibly grateful. And to be able to call you like a teammate finally is very exciting. So I can't wait to get started.
An old teammate. All right. I will see you at the ballpark. Of course, we've already had opening day once this runs. Thanks, Bridget.
Thank you.
It's around the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg.